What is going on, guys, and welcome to the second video of Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. Today we will be doing, like I said in the last video, is fixing up this car that oddly resembles a Crown Vic. But we are going to keep track of how much money we spend on how much money we make on this car, because I want to know if we're actually making anything or if it's just going to get blown by the wayside, because this car cannot possibly be as desirable as we might think it is, even though it, these cars are actually pretty valuable in real life. But God, this resembles a Crown Vic so much. So anyways, let's move this thing into the garage, get on the lift, and get this car started to get ripped apart and see what we get by the end of the video. Like, look how sick this thing looks with those beautiful steely hubcaps and amazing black paint job. Anyway, this thing's worth $58.77 with all the body panels and everything on, obviously. And I don't really know what we're going to get out of this by the end of the video. I'm kind of hoping we'll get something good. I'm not doing any performance parts on this one, though. We did all the performance parts on the last build, and I don't really see that being that much enjoyable to do it all again, but we do have a different motor to work with. In fact, I think we might actually change the motor up a little bit, because this thing's got the V8 SOHC FME in it, which is not that powerful, where we could very easily put a V8 DOHC Supercharged in this thing, and this thing would rip. And then we could do, what if we do a V8 DOHC Supercharged with performance parts? This thing would be wild. I think that's what we're going to end up doing. But we're going to be changing the engine a little bit, even though this is a really cool engine. I've worked on them before. They're actually pretty cool. They've got some pep when you step on them in certain cars. But I don't think we're going to take this engine. I think we're going to switch it out. But the car's worth $58.77, so let's rip all the body panels off. Let's get this car stripped all the way to the ground. And let's see how much money we actually can make off of this old Crown Vic looking thing. I don't really know if I can call it a Crown Vic. I'm going to end up calling it a Crown Vic way more times in this video than I really should. But I'm going to get charged for not draining any of these, even though there's literally, like, no fluid in them. I mean, there's, like, the smallest little amount of fluid, and I've already lost $150 by not draining them. So, I mean, why not just continue that? Because we're on a roll. So, now we're just going to rip this entire engine apart. If I was keeping this engine, I would probably just rip this one completely down and then build it all back up, just so I know what parts to get. But I don't really see a point in keeping this, because these cars, especially the old police cars, were really, like, they were heavy and they were tanks, but they were pretty quick on their feet. So I think to do this thing justice, we should definitely put that big supercharger in it, and this could be an epic sleeper build. That'll look absolutely awesome. But besides for that, let's see what we can get into with this thing and see how much we can actually make off of it, because I don't really know how much we can make off of this type of thing. Just judging by the fact that it's not like a classic car or anything. This is the first one I've seen of this kind. It was actually at a salvage auction, which I can bring you guys over to the salvage auction at the end of this video to show you, hey, we got in luck. This is a solid axle rear end. It's always a good day when there's a solid axle rear end. Because those cars with independent rear ends are not that fun to take apart and not that fun to put back together. But that solid axle life is so simple. So now we just got to strip all the exhaust parts off this thing, get all the axle pieces and everything off, and then we can start to rip into the motor, put a whole new suspension on this thing, get all the body work done, and see how much it's worth by the end of this video. Because I'm stoked to see how much we can get for this car. I mean, I know it might not be a ton, but I think that especially with performance parts and a supercharged V8, I think we could get a good chunk of change for this. Maybe not as much as, like, I want to do one car on video for you guys. I actually did it in the past, and it came out to be an amazing build. It was like a Shelby, like an early old, like, Shelby type thing. I don't really know what it's called in the game, but it was absolutely amazing to build. The car ripped with that big supercharged engine in it, and yeah, it was just really fun to build, and it ended up getting me like well over $100,000 when I sold it. So that would be a really cool build to get on camera, but I gotta find another one, preferably a salvage one, because the salvage one's a little bit quicker to, or end up giving you a little bit more money because you don't tend to spend as much money up front. Now, what I did learn, anybody who's starting to watch, or anybody who's starting to play this game or whatever, what I did learn is that you go to the junkyard, you can get cars just like this. Because the salvage auction is literally like all the cars from the junkyard on auction. That's all they are. They're in very, very similar condition. Problem with going to the salvage auction is you're actually going to pay more for a car like this. But there's a lot of cars that go to the salvage auction that don't ever hit the junkyard. At least that I've experienced. And I've gone to the junkyard a solid couple handful of times. And I've never had, like, this car show up at the junkyard. Now, that being said, I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying that to find one, it's a lot more common, at least in my experience, to find a car like this at the auction than it is to find it at the junkyard. But, that being said, you're probably going to end up paying more at the auction than you will at the junkyard, but you'll get the car you want. Also, at the auction, you have a much, much, much better chance of getting a car in better condition. And I mean, you can get salvage cars that are like actually not all rusted apart underneath like this one is, to where you have to replace everything. You can get salvage cars like that in the auction in this game. You cannot at the junkyard. So, more or less what I'm saying is they have their pros and cons. This particular car, and I think the last car, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember if the El Camino that we did in the last video was from the auction to the junkyard. But what I am going to do is we're going to go to the auction at the end of this video if we have time. Try not to make these videos too long for you guys. But if we have enough time at the end of this video, we are definitely going to go over to either the auction or the junkyard, see what they have, and definitely check out what we can do for the next build. As you guys can see, these engines use different, like in this car, these engines use different gearboxes, different exhausts, different heads, different, like all that type of stuff, which inevitably makes it different to work on, in my opinion, a little bit better to work on, because you're testing out new waters. Where like the engine that we're gonna put in this, I am incredibly familiar with, because I've worked on probably between all the 3 games that I've had, Car Mechanics Sim 15, Car Mechanics Sim 18, and now this one, I've worked on probably 100 of the overhead valve V8s and the normal V8s that like one we will be building in this video. But it's always fun to do another one, so we might as well. Now that the car is completely stripped, we're going to get the welder over there, and we will weld this thing up and see how good she's going to look. This is a green car. We're painting this thing black. I really don't care. We don't have any performance tuned parts for this car. This is the truck I was telling you guys about. This stupid 2011 Salem Earthquake brings in like 130 grand fully done. I got one at auction for like 75, 80K. I think I told you guys this car, the DC Typhoon, is the one I sold for over 100. But I bought a Salem Earthquake at auction for like 75, 80 grand, and I turned around and I sold it for like 123 or something, some crazy amount of money for a vehicle like that. And I don't understand why they go for that, but that one did. I mean, I'm not going to complain, but that one did. So it's kind of crazy for me to look at that type of vehicle and be like, yeah, this thing will pull in 130 grand. Like, I built a Bolt Cape, Bolt Hellcats, Bolt all that stuff, put very, very valuable parts in them, and they don't even go for, 100 grand. Like, it's crazy. I don't really know how this game is wired, though, so that could be completely normal in all of these games. I don't really know, because I don't really get that many of those types of cars in any of these, because I like to work on, like, older stuff. This is actually some of the newest, this is one of the newer vehicles that I've worked on. But we are going to put a bunch of really cool things into this car, and it should come out absolutely awesome. If you guys can see this nice black metallic paint that are with these stock aftermarket pieces is kind of what the car is going to look like. So now we move the car over to the car wash, just like we did in the last video. We get this thing nice, cleaned up, and get it ready for paint. This is legit a green car. Wow. I don't know who would buy a Crown Vic in a really nasty green color, but hey, whoever you are, whatever floats your boat, dude. I mean, can't really complain. Not my car, but I mean, now it is, but it's not my car when you bought it, but wow, that is one ugly color. So, we are going to paint this thing, and I want to know, this car was black from the factory. Why would they paint it green? Is there a livery? There is a livery for a cop car. Oh my god, that's awesome. Okay, I'm down. Oh, there's sheriff cars? Okay, we're doing a sheriff. We're not doing cop, we're doing sheriff car. This thing is going to be absolutely awesome. I might not be able to sell this car. I might have to keep this one. Let's see, saturation. Can I, like, change the color? Is that seriously for, like, in the wheel wells? That's trippy. So let's paint this thing. This thing is going to look absolutely wicked. Oh my god. Okay, let's put this thing back in the garage and see how she looks. This looks brown to me. I didn't want the car brown, I wanted the car black. Why would it be brown? I mean, I don't hate it, but I really wanted it black. So, we're going to go back to the paint shop, and we're going to see if we can change this thing to black, because that is straight up brown. So, this is wasting money, more or less. Let's see. Livery. I think it sets it to a brown. Like, legitimately a brown. I think it does. And I'm not going to spend another $1,000 to fix this when it's just going to set it to another brown. So I guess we're kind of stuck with a brown car. I don't really understand why. Yeah, that's straight up brown. But anyway, let's do the entire suspension on this thing first, because you know what? Why not? So we need a fuel tank. We need all of these suspension components for this thing. We're going to start at the back because that's the easy section of these cars, because, you know, might as well start simple-ish. We need 2 leaf spring plates, 4 leaf spring bolts. I need to stop saying everything that I'm buying. 2 of those. 2 of those. That's only 1 of those. 2, 1, 2. We're going to need a couple... No, we're not going to need a couple rear wheel hubs. We're going to need a couple rubber bushings, I think. 2 solid drive axles. 2 solid control arms. 2 wheel hub 3s. And a couple brake parts. Might as well buy 4 brakes because we're going to need them for later. Anyway. That's 5, 4. Sweet. Let's put all of this stuff in here. I gotta grab a fuel pump for that, because we're gonna do performance parts on this build, so I might as well put a performance fuel pump in this thing. Now, I'm really curious, because the 2-carb supercharged overhead valve that we did last video pushed 997 horsepower out of a 550-ish stock horsepower engine. So, how much is this thing going to push? Because if that pushed 997, I see this thing going well over 1,000. Because these engines have probably a little bit more, I would assume, than the overhead valves do with the supercharger. So with a bunch of tuned parts and like performance parts on it, I would think that we could easily surpass the 1,000 number. But I really don't know. You guys tell me, if you guys have played any of these games, specifically this one, does transmission tuning and changing like the gears and everything and the ratios, does that change the amount of power that it'll show on the dyno? I didn't personally think it would, because all you're doing is you're just moving the power around, but it could. And the problem is I don't know enough on how to tune a transmission, specifically in this game because I suck at it, to do it correctly. And so if you guys know how to, number one, let me know down in the comments, how do you tune a transmission correctly in this game so it doesn't just kill the motor? Because, like, I would tune transmission and I'd put, like, an extra gear or something in them, and then it would be way over revved in first gear and then way under revved in every other gear, and it was never, like, right. Even if I didn't add another gear, it would just be completely messed up. So, anyway, I need help on knowing how to tune the trannies in this game. So a C, a D, and an A. No, a B. C, D, B. Sweet. Main shop, this. Need two of these. Two of these. Two of these. Two of these. No, they're D's. So it's C, D, B. That's right. Okay. But back to what I was saying. So, for me, finding, like, how to tune the transmissions and everything in this game correctly is a little bit out of my wheelhouse, and I don't know how to do it. So, if any of you guys down in the comments know how to do it, like, share the love and let me know, because I am starstruck by the fact that I can't figure out how to tune a transmission in this game. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure that it's a little bit different than real life, but still, like, why can I not figure out how to tune the transmission correctly in this game? And my biggest thing is I have to actually leave the shop to go test to see if it's done correctly. And if it's not done correctly, I gotta go do it again. And it's like, no. It's just not right. And I'm sure, now, this is me assuming something, and that never ends well, but I assume that no matter what, like, the transmission tuning doesn't stay the same between engines and all that crap. So, I need you guys down in the comments that to let me know, does it change, what's different, how does it work, like, all of that stuff, because I have absolutely no clue. And I mean, I would like to show that type of stuff on video if I can figure out how to do it, which would be absolutely awesome if I could. But, you know, I'm not really that smart, so there's a solid chance it might not happen. If that's the only thing I can't figure out how to do in this game, I am good with that, because, you know what, I have literally wrung myself through every other possible piece and part of this game that it really doesn't bother me that I don't know how to do one thing. So, anyway, we almost have the suspension completely done on this thing, and then we get to move into filling out the engine bay, doing the motor. The motor on this thing is not going to be nearly as tedious as the other one that we did, because the motor on this thing is a new V8, not an overhead valve V8. So it's a little bit more of a pain because you have 100 idler rollers up front, but you don't have to worry about the 32 valve push rods and then the 32 rocker arms that you would have to put in the other engine. So in my opinion, it's almost like a wash. And these things make a ton, I believe, more power. At least they feel that way. So, I mean, I'm not really 100% sure on the specifics, which I really should be, but I'm not. So, you know, makes it kind of difficult. Anyway, let's see what we can get ourselves into now that the suspension's completely done. Let's drop the car down, and suspension, paint job, bodywork, all that good stuff. How much is this thing worth? If you guys remember, I believe it was like $5,800 before we started. We're at 22 grand, you guys. If I sold it right now, we'd be at $302,000, which is absolutely awesome. You guys are going to witness on this video me clicking over 300K, which I haven't yet in this game. So, yep, let's fill out the engine bay. We need a whole bunch of stuff. because this is a newer car, so everything known to mankind needs to be in this thing. So, general shop, res, we need a coolant reservoir, B, I believe, power steering, all that good stuff. This is a B, right? Yeah. We need a radiator. I wonder if people get annoyed when I say radiator instead of radiator. We need a brake servo, and we need a air filtration system. I absolutely hate this particular style air filter because of these stupid clips. They're so annoying. I need ABS pump, ABS module, battery. I don't remember what type of fuse box it is. I think it's a small one. So we're going to hope it's a small one, and we need an ECU. I think. Don't quote me on that, because there's a very good chance I just bought an ECU and I didn't actually need it. Now, like I said in the last video, I've gotten to a point in my life where I am buying way more fuses than I actually need to, because it just ends up making the game that little bit more enjoyable. You don't use them, so you can either keep them, like a smart person would do, and use them for another build, or you can be like me and sell everything after, like, literally every build, even though I didn't do that. Did I do that after the last build? I don't really know. But, or you can be like me and sell everything after every build and not keep all the parts that you could use on another build. Yeah. I think that made sense. Something in that sentence made sense. I just don't know if the whole thing did. Anyway. Fuse box. ECU type A can go in here. Perfect. I actually bought the right one. So, as you guys can see, they have made certain things, like, a lot more complicated. Like, the fuse box system thing they've got here. It's just a ton of little boxes and stuffs that you've got to buy and then place, and it's kind of a nuance. Like, it's cool, but it's also weird. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things that you don't expect, but it's just there. Like, when I started doing this game, I was like, what the heck is a fuse box doing here? I'm not stupid enough to not know what a fuse box is, but I am stupid enough to not know what it was doing in this game. It confused me. I'm also very confused on why this game hasn't come out with wires for, like, everything under the hood. Or, like, certain things, at least. Like, something. Put everything in this game. You make the game realistic. You put fuse boxes and all this other stuff. The least you could do is actually fill the engine bay with wires and brake lines and stuff like that. And I know certain people are looking at me like I'm nuts because I want them to do that. But, like, why not? So, we are going to be building. So, this engine has 380 horsepower stock. That is not true because we ran it and it had 550 stock. So, that's a load of crap. This one's got 584 stock. So, if that's true, if this number is true, on the El Camino build, it went from 380 to 997. That means it jumped up 617 horsepower from performance parts. I find that incredibly hard to believe. This one's got 584. Let's build it. So, as you guys know, I know what's in these motors. So we just gotta buy everything. We need 4 camshafts, which is absolutely ridiculous. We need to go to just engine stuff. We need... Nope. We need a head. When I figure out where the heads are, because this game confuses me, we need some exhaust manifolds. I really would like to see a turbocharged V8, and I know everybody's going to shit on me for that, but I kind of want to see one. Like, I feel like that would be kind of cool. They have performance glow plugs. Why can I not seem to find a diesel engine in this game if there's performance everything for them? Like, what the heck? We need a cool throttle for this thing, and I don't know where that would be. there's even one. Might not even be one because it's a... Oh, yeah, there's one. Okay, sweet. So now we need main shop, engine. Now we just gotta scroll through this and buy a bunch of stuff that, you know, is always fun to buy because just that's how it works. Oh my god, I can't talk. So, moving along down the line, the only thing I appreciate about this particular style motor is that there's not a ton of camshaft caps, because those are like one of the most annoying things to put in. It's a bunch of camshaft caps. You're already gonna do it for like rod caps and everything, so like why? What is the point of having so many? Just don't get it. A, B, already got all that stuff, already got all that stuff. We need like 7 of these and like 10 of these. It's absolutely crazy. I still don't understand why they have that, but whatever. I also don't understand. You can buy stock intakes for a V8 OHV in the performance shop. You cannot buy a supercharger intake for a V8 overhead valve in the performance shop. You also can't buy a stock manifold for a normal V8 in the performance shop, or, for that matter, a stock manifold for, or a supercharger manifold for a V8. Took me a minute to remember what I was talking about, but I just don't get it. Like, why? What is the problem with shoving a excessively large and excessively overpowered, I would think it would be overpowered, supercharger intake and all that stuff on, like, why? What's the problem with that? I don't get it. Like, why can't they let the people playing this game have, why am I gonna buy those? Why can't they let the people playing this game, like, have some fun with it? Like, that's just reasonable to me. So anyway, so now we have to put this entire engine together. It's like the last engine, I did the front, like, as one of the first things. On this engine, I really don't like doing the front. Oh my god, I hope that everybody watching these videos actually grasp the humor in me saying I don't like to do something in this game. Because, to be completely honest with you, sometimes as annoying as certain things are, it's just cool to see the end-all product. And, like, you might not like every single aspect of it, but that doesn't mean you don't enjoy playing the game. Like, for me, I thoroughly enjoy playing this type of game. Like, hence the reason why I bought 3 of these games. And I mean, I've bought, like, like, CMS 18, I had literally every single add-on that you could get for it. I mean, I had every vehicle add-on, I had everything for this game, or for that game. And I mean everything. I spent more in add-ons than I did on the game to begin with. Kind of a scary thought, but it's true. So, for me, it's one of those things. I enjoy playing this game. I enjoy playing these types of games, and I hope that you guys enjoy watching these games, or these types of games. Don't worry. Soon, in the future, we will start broadening into other games. Most likely GTA. I'll probably post a little bit of FIFA, content on here. Just a bunch of different stuff to entice this channel with a couple of different games and different gameplay, just so you're not watching the same things over and over and over again. But we're not there yet. Let's finish up this car, and then we will get there. So, we don't have much left to do, though. I also don't understand how these belts grab anything on that, because, like, there's nothing holding them on. There's no gritty surface. There's no grasping. There's no nothing. It's just there. Kind of weird to me. But yeah, so now you guys can see the absolute conglomerate of parts that have to be bolted onto the front of this engine. I mean, 10 of each was probably a little excessive, but here we are. So now we have to finish up the front of this engine, put the supercharger on, put all the heads on, put the head covers on. I didn't buy a water pump pulley. I forgot one thing on this engine, and I mean literally one thing. So we are almost there, though. I keep forgetting I have to do the underside of these. And it's one of those annoyances that's in every single one of these games, is the underside of these engines. But, yep. So now we will put, I don't know why I put the heads on instead of the supercharger on. Like, why did I do that? But, whatever. I love the look when, like, you don't cover anything. So, like, on the V8 overhead valves, when you can see a bunch of, like, red from the performance parts, that looks awesome to me. I mean, I know it doesn't to everybody, but to me, that looks absolutely awesome. It actually makes it look, like, cooler and faster than, not having that. But anyway, for me, it is absolutely awesome to see, like, to put an engine together, because this is something I can't do in real life, at least not right now. Maybe in the future, but not right now. I can't. So for me to be able to do this in a game and actually, like, be able to express what I want to do, but not spend a bunch of my own money to do it, and to not try and do something that I am physically not capable of right now in real life, is absolutely awesome. But anyways, let's put the front of this engine fully together, and then we can move on to transmission. What else do we have to do? I just had a complete brain fart on... I don't think we actually have anything else to do to this engine once... Or anything else to do to this car once the engine's done and the transmission's done. Except for, like, exhaust. We're almost done with this. So yeah, I mean... It's absolutely awesome. So, on a different note, the one thing I did want to explain to you guys was my computer specs in this video. So, for anybody wondering, I have a Ryzen 5 3600, I believe, a GeForce, or a GTX, no, an RTX 2060 Super, I believe, a 550 or 600 watt power supply, a Asus something motherboard. This is not a very detailed list because I really don't remember, in a NZXT H510 case. I don't remember all the parts on this thing though, because I built it like a year ago, and that's something else that I wanted to do, was I actually wanted to build another computer on camera for you guys, and this one would have like all the new parts, like the new 3070 and all that stuff. Problem is that computer parts have come, or have risen so much in price, that I can't justify to myself rocking a new 3070 in a computer when a 3070 is like $1,100. At least the last time I looked it was. So that's the engine in this thing. Like, that looks awesome. And we close the hood and it clears. Like, psh, it's amazing. So yeah, so let me know if you guys would like to see a computer build of some kind on the channel, because I'm sure I could do it. It's just going to cost me a little bit more than I was expecting to pay. But you know what? It's fine. So now we just need to grab a couple of parts for this thing, including a starter. And it's funny, for literally like every single one of these builds that have interesting engines, if I can swap in a normal engine, I do. Even though I enjoy working on the cool ones, like the one that was in this from originally, I enjoy working on those cooler engines. But in the same breath, I keep swapping them out, and I really can't figure out why. So anyway, so we're going to throw the starter on this, throw an exhaust on it, and then we got to grab wheels and tires for this thing. Now, we're doing fatties in the back, and I mean we're doing huge tires out back, because this thing's going to be throwing down so much power, I think. It should be. So we need 2 A's, cats, mids, and then exhaust and rears. Okay. Anyway, this needs to be throwing down a ton of powers. Like, we're going to need some dang good tires for this thing. But I don't understand why they don't have, like, everything in this. But whatever. Beats me. Now the only other thing I need is front sections, which I can get in here. I think they're A's, right? Yes. it drives me nuts that there's that, like, especially on these, when you have everything performance, and there's that tiny little part of a non-performance exhaust. It's like, why? But, oh well. Didn't buy exhaust, I didn't buy the right ones. This needs exhaust pipe C's. I bought normal exhaust pipes, thinking that that would be okay. But they're not. Oh, yes, we're in luck. They actually have them in the performance shop. I didn't think that they would. That's amazing. So anyway, so now that the exhaust is just about... Oh my god. Can I learn how to buy what I actually need? I like how I clicked on the things that I need before I did. Now I actually need them. Okay, cool. So now that that's all together, now that the exhaust is done, now we can drop the car and put some wheels and tires on this girl. So, what are we gonna do for wheels and tires? They're rim 37s, 225/60 R16s. So we're gonna do 18s, because I really like the look of 18s. So rim 37s, we do 4 18s. And then we're going to need tires, and I don't know what tires to run. These are 225/60 R16s. 225/60 R16s. So we're going to do 235/50 R18s. In theory, that'll leave... So, from what I've gathered, from what people have told me, from what I believe, that 60 number, that's 50 number, whatever, is the size, is the profile of the sidewall. Meaning that the bigger that number, the thicker, the bigger the sidewall is going to be. I think. If I'm not mistaken, that's how it works. So, in theory, if I raise rim size and lower profile, it should look correct. And it actually does. Like, those look good. And once the car's on the ground, it'll look better. So, sweet. Even though they don't adjust much with the car going on the ground, if at all. Whatever. Problem for another day. So, let's get all these mounted and balanced. And then we are going to dyno this thing, interior on it. And then, if we have time in this video, I would like to take you guys up to either the auction or the junkyard, just so I can see a couple of different builds for the next video, and show you guys how the auction has changed, how the junkyard has changed. For anybody who played the old game and hasn't played this one, why can I not take it? There we go. So, I mean, they've definitely added a lot of cool stuff to this game that, honestly, I looked at the last game and I was like, they're going to make a new game and they're going to ruin this. Because, for me, I thought the last game was great. And when I got into this game, they, in my opinion, messed it up for the beginning. Because, like, they have this big, giant yellow school bus in here. And they kind of give you false hope on the fact that there's, like, glow plugs, there's a school bus, there's that tow truck out front. Like, it gives you false hope that you're going to be able to do something cool. There's a gas station there. Like, for me, it gave me false hope. And I'm like, ugh. But, you know what? I haven't ran across every single vehicle in this game yet. And I'm hoping that there is a factory diesel somewhere in this. But, you know what? I really don't know if there is. Let's drop this thing to the ground. Wow, this thing looks awesome. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sell this car. Might have to go buy another Vic and build it just like this one when I have more money that I can blow away. Because, oh my lord, I want to keep this now. So, we started at 290, right? I believe, 290, and we're at 236. Meaning that we have spent 60-ish K on this car. Did we have that much to begin? I'm going to have to go back in editing and see how much we had to begin with. But it was like 290 or 280, something like that. Meaning we've spent anywhere from 45 to 60 grand building this. And I really hope that we can get that return back, because if we can't, I'm keeping this. I mean, I hope that we can get it back, but I also hope that we can't, because if we can't get that return back, I'm keeping this thing. I mean, no doubt in my mind, this thing will get kept if I can't get my money back out of it. So now that we got all of our fluids in it, and this thing's all pretty much, like, done, we're going to do a little bit of interior work. I would assume that it's got its own interior stuff, just because of, like, the fact that it's... Don't look at that number yet. 105? Wow. Salem Overking. So I would think that it's got its own interior stuff, but I don't really know. I think it's, what, Salem Overking? There's got to be its own interior stuff, because this type of thing wouldn't just have any random interior in it. Yeah, see, so it's got its own back seat. I would think it would have its own front seats. Don't quote me on that. Overking. Seat Overking. Yep, it does. I like how it's got a very, very, very similar logo to the Ford logo in real life. I'm calling you out. Play dot game, so I'm calling you out. So let's put the interior. I actually really do like these cars in real life. Excuse me. I really do like these cars in real life, but they were so cheap inside. I just don't get it. Like, why? So anyway, we're not even going to go clean this thing up again on the inside. We're just going to go dyno this thing. So, like, 558, 703. How does it raise a number that high? Is it because it's, like, in a different car? Or what? Like, why is it such a high number for stock power? Because it's going to make it feel like we didn't gain as much. Just so you guys know, that might be, like, accounting for performance parts or whatever, but I highly doubt it. Wow, look at that incline. That's awesome. 1335. So let's just say factory horsepower in this thing was 560. That's 700 more horsepower. We doubled the factory horsepower number. Even on this, we practically doubled it. That's absolutely absurd. 1,335 horsepower. I kind of want to take this thing for a ride. God, that's nuts. Absolutely nuts. So let's just hop on the speed track real quick, just to see what this thing can do. Because I want to know if it's going to be, like, controllable, or if it's just going to be nuts. Because I got a feeling it's just going to be absolutely crazy. Oh, yeah, no control in this thing. That's third gear, we're still spinning. Can't even tap the gas without it spinning. Yeah, so this is one of those cars that you do all this work to, and then it becomes, like, almost, like, unenjoyable to drive unless you put, like, drag slicks that are 4 feet wide on the back that just stretch the entire width of the car. It makes it impossible. Now, the one thing I do want to show you guys is the test path, the alignment system that they put into this game. It's absolutely awesome. You go on here, and then you actually have to, like, fix the alignment. It's really cool, and you'll get jobs in the stock game. If you're doing jobs, you'll get jobs just to do this. It's kind of cool. You can also do headlight alignment and all that type of stuff. So let's sell this thing, because I can't even deal. So let's see. We should get, like, what, 105-ish for it? 107 grand. God, that's nuts. And we put, like, 60 into it. And we're gonna get 107 grand. 32K in just performance parts. 13 in body, 40, and then, wow, that's amazing. Sell. You know what? I'm good with a $107,000 paycheck. So now we can sell all of these parts. We're at 342. We're going to be at 344. 345 and a half. So, like, we made a solid 110 grand off that. That's wicked. So let's head over to the auction. And let me show you guys the new auction system that they have in place. You can pick what car you want to bid on, which is actually really cool, so you don't have to wait through all of them. So now you can go here, and you guys can see like the different auction vehicles. There's an Impala. Those things are absolutely awesome. You know, a bunch of different auction vehicles in here. You can go back, and then you can go to the salvage cars, and you can see the different salvage. This is the turbo diesel. So this is the engine I have in the game that's not actually a factory engine, is this diesel engine. We're going to buy this car just because I want to work on this specific car. I want to work on this engine and see how it does and what it'll do. So this will be a video eventually. But come on, I really don't want to spend that much money on this car. It's kind of excessive. It's lucky I really want this engine. So, what do we get it for? 16K? I mean, that's not terrible. But yes, you guys can see all of the different vehicles that are in here, like the Chieftain, the Hellcat, the Magnum. All of that type of stuff is in here, so, yep. That is, pretty much all we got for this video. So, let's go back to the garage. I'm going to show you guys this really cool diesel that I put in. It's not actually even a replacement engine. It's just, it goes in, it pops up in the car that this style engine would come in. But yeah, so as you guys can see, it's pretty cool. Now, I want to see, what does this look like under the head? Because this is kind of cool. So does this thing even have, like, glow plugs? It's like it doesn't even have... Oh, they're right here. That's all the glow plugs, right where the spark plugs would be. Wow, that's actually kind of cool. So, that's another vehicle for another video. But yeah, so let me know if you guys enjoyed this video, the last video. You guys are enjoying this game so far. I certainly am. I'm certainly enjoying playing these games with you guys. So yeah, so let me know down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.